Just a real quick plug for who we are. Many of you know us for our thought leadership or community involvement, but Client Success is actually a customer success platform. We manage from what we say new to renew. So we help you roll out your customer success strategy, help you get the visibility, the reporting, the automation that you need to best ensure that your customer base, which is your most valuable asset in your business, is growing and retaining. So that's what we do. Of course, if you have thoughts, questions, needs there, reach out to me or reach out to us separately. We'd love to engage in a conversation there. Without further ado, let me introduce Ari Hoffman, who runs Customer Marketing and Advocacy with Influitive. I'll let Ari introduce his topic, which is all around the success in the customer marketing and that alliance and that partnership we can run with our teams internally to get the most out of marketing towards our customers. So Ari, without further ado, I'll hand off the screen share to you and walk us through your content.
Excellent. Sounds great. So there's going to be two halves as I pull this out. There's going to be two halves of this presentation. The first half, I'm going to kind of break down what customer marketing and advocacy is, what an advocate looks like. And then the second part, I'm going to break down and how that CSM and customer marketing and advocacy relationship kind of coexist and better ways to coexist. And then I'm going to break down at the very end some tactical tips, not strategic, but tactical things that you can deploy tomorrow to try and help build more rapport if you do or don't have customer marketing already in place. Things you can do without a customer marketing team that act in its place, or things that if you do, that you can interact and collaborate with them on to kind of help build that rapport and create a tighter relationship with them. So to start, I know we got a poll that I want to start with that Dave whipped up for us. So basically the question is, do you really feel confident in understanding what the responsibilities, the charter of your customer marketing team is? We should have asked, do you have a customer marketing team first? But we'll start with this. Whether you do or don't have, do you understand what customer marketing generally is? I guess is a better way to frame the question.
I'll give another minute or so for folks to fill out, but we've got some good responses here.
My one says hosts and panelists can't vote. Are they coming in?
They are coming in. So let's see. We've got 26 response. 76% of people have responded. Yeah, so far 50% are saying no, they don't feel confident in how customer marketing is defined at their company. 27% say yes, and then in the it's complicated category is 23%. So definitely the majority in the no or the it's complicated. I'll end this and share so that folks can see.
Sounds about right. That was about what it was at CS100 at the summit.
There we have it.
All right. So let's get into what it is to help everyone understand. You know, customer marketing, though the function, the centralized function of it is relatively new, the practice of it has been around forever, right? We've done case studies and conferences and webinars forever. The issue is it used to be a decentralized approach to this role. So it was a bunch of different people's roles, right? Your case studies were done by your product marketing team, and your reviews could be done by your demand gen team, and your references could even be held by your customer success team. They could be responsible and own the references that come in from sales to finding customers. And over time, realized that you needed a more well-tuned muscle in this area to really centralize the approach to it and the visibility into all the connection points you're having with your customer. So this customer marketing advocacy form functioning. Customer marketing really started as functioning, specifically looking at upsells, cross-sells, expansion. How do we market more to our current customers, right? And sometimes, depending on your company, capturing customer content as well. Advocacy really started on the VOC side. So it was your voice of the customer programs. It was, are we advocating on behalf of our customers? Right? Are we listening to what they're saying and making sure that we're taking that feedback and responding accordingly? So it was your NPS, CES, CSAT, But then advocacy started to morph into, how do we get more customers to advocate on our behalf, right? So your awards program, awards and rewards programs, all of that kind of stuff. And those two things, depending on the company, have really started to morph together into what we call the CMA function, right? The customer marketing and advocacy function kind of has all of that underneath, right? You're looking at, how do we help GRR and NRR? How do we help sales attribution and reporting and tracking? How do we track the value of our advocates? How do we make sure that we have more advocates raising their hands more of the time, so that we're not having to fish as often as we are? All right, so that's kind of a little bit of the definition. Where does advocacy live, or what is an advocate? An advocate, by my definition, and a lot of ours, is any customer that does something for you that is not in their job description. All right. So we often think of it, doing advocacy, as getting on a reference call or doing a case study or leaving a review, all public facing content that is used in the sales motion. But the reality is, if your customer gets on with your product marketing team to do a competitive analysis call or a win-loss call, these are not part of their job. They are helping you. They are advocating on your behalf. They're helping you with market messaging. They're advocating on your behalf. If they're speaking to an analyst, they're advocating on your behalf. If they're getting on a customer call, right, with a user group call, they're advocating on your behalf if they're leading that session. So an advocate is really anyone who's taking time away. Using your product or service is a part of their job description. So that isn't advocacy. But anything they do that's outside of what their job pays them to do is helping your company grow. That's advocacy, right? And so when you broaden it like that, you really start to realize how much we ask of our customers outside of their day-to-day job function, right? And where does this live? Where does customer marketing advocacy live? Well, it depends on the company. A lot of companies, it lives in the growth and demand gen area, because they're really focused on selling to your current customers or using the content to sell to new prospects, right? Corporate comms. So that can be your brand team, your corporate communication team, your global comms team, where you're bringing your customer closer to your brand. You want to really make their voice a part of your brand. And so that's why it's there. A lot to do with analysts in that area. Customer experience. This is really on your lifecycle marketing teams when you're journey mapping it out, and customer success. There are a lot of companies where customer marketing advocacy reports up to the CCO or the head of customer success. It's a great place to be. It's a natural fit, but as we all know, not always has the largest budget, not compared to marketing at least. And then product marketing is where I'm seeing the fastest growth as of the last couple of years, because you're really trying to bring your product, not your customers, not just closer to your brand, but closer to your product, your ideation, and your roadmap. So it's really bringing that feedback loop into how you're creating products for your customers in the future. I'm going to skip through pretty fast on some of these slides, because Dave's going to send these out after the fact, so you can spend more time combing through them. Right now, I'm just going to give you the tops of what's on here. So what are the benefits internally of having a customer marketing advocacy team? How does it help your marketing? How does it help your sales? How does it help your education and professional growth? How do you tie this into your life cycle? And how does it talk more to your product? On the external side, and this one I'm going to spend just a second on because it's really important. So why would customers want to be advocates? They have busy jobs, right? And if you think about it, a lot of our customers have 6, 7, 8 different products that you're using. So they have 6, 7 different customer success managers they have to talk to, and 6, 7, 8 different executive business reviews that they have to get onto, and 6, 7 different advocacy programs that they're trying to partake in. Everyone wants more of their time. So why would they take the time? First one is brand and personal recognition. The ability to network is huge. FOMO, fear of missing out on what everyone else is doing, which is a real thing. Education and professional growth, and rewards, right? Perk-based rewards, leaderboards, all that kind of stuff. So here's my quick story on this one. Erica Cool, who is my hero, basically, she is the godmother of modern day community and MVP program. So you have the Trailblazer community and you have the MVP program within the Trailblazers. That is all Erica Cool. She created that. So for those of us who work in this field, and especially within community, who look at what the North Star really looks like, it's Salesforce's MVP program. right? And how they interact and the amount of attention and engagement. So she did a survey, and I believe it went out to either 15 or 18,000 people that responded, half of which were anonymous and half of which were public. The anonymous, and what I mean by that is half of the surveys were attached to their Trailblazer profile, so it wasn't anonymous, and half were completely anonymous. On the half that were anonymous, this was the order of importance. She said, why do you take time to spend in our community? Why do you come into our community, answer questions, do case studies for us, make videos? What motivates you? And in this order, it was personal brand development. So I want to grow my personal value, networking, FOMO, personal education, professional growth, and motivate. On the non-anonymous side, the part that was attached to their profile, well, this all rotated by one skew. Recognition and personal brand development moved to last place. Networking became number one, education, professional growth, FOMO, rewards and perks, and then brand development, personal brand development. So what does that tell you? It tells you we don't want to tell people that we're egocentric, that we want to build our own brands, that we want to make a name for ourselves. Even if it's not externally making a name for ourselves, sometimes it's just internally. We want to feel more valued and appreciated. But we're not going to start with that. We're not going to lead with that because it seems too ego-driven. But know that this is an underlying motivator. That's why I bring this up, because how powerful personal brand development is into creating these incredibly strong relationships that get them to advocate on your behalf again and again and again. It's one thing to get it once. It's another thing to get them to do it multiple times with you. All right, so now let's jump into the relationship between customer success and customer marketing and advocacy, and how sometimes it can be strained. I've seen over my career and growing through this, and where I've come in to really kind of bridge that gap and help companies bridge that gap with their multiple teams is this. One, I have yet to meet a customer success team that will raise their hand and say, I have so much extra time on my hands, teach me new things. I want to learn, give me new programs, give me new stuff to learn because I have so much time on my hands. Generally, I mean, just put in the comments. Tell me if you have a lot of extra time. If I see this start blowing up, I'll know I'm wrong. You just got a ton of time to learn new things. And so when we are this busy, we develop something that's called muscle memory, right? We know how to survive our day-to-day. We go through, we check Salesforce here. We go into client success to check this here. We have this muscle memory, and anything new is met with resistance because we're like, well, I'm barely keeping my head above water. Don't expect me to learn 12 new things right now. I can't. So even if you're trying to introduce new things that will help you do your job better, it's really hard for you to find the way to see that light, right? And you have to empathize. I empathize with that. And a lot of customer success managers are doing the very best they can with minimal resources. And they're wearing many hats. In fact, a lot of customer success managers are supposed to be product marketers and customer marketing managers and all of these different hats that they have to wear while getting the customer to be successful, right? The other side is if you do have a customer marketing advocacy team, I look at CSMs. Ooh, I like this. I look at CSMs really as being the coach on the team, right? And the coach has a hard job because it's not just about getting your customers to win. They've got to follow the plans and the strategy. They've got to learn how to communicate with each other. Sometimes it's internal herding the cats that you have to do, right? And it's almost like you're a physical trainer where some days the customer looks in the mirror and they love themselves. They're like, I see all the results. And some days it's 5 a.m. and you're knocking on the door and they're like, just go away. And you're like, no, my job isn't to make you happy. My job is to make you successful, right? That's a hard thing. Well, here comes the customer marketing advocacy person who's showing their brand off, doing case studies with them, going on stage and speaking at events. It's a lot more fun. And so sometimes that relationship can switch, and that can be hard for a customer success manager because they're losing that direct connection, right? And so one of the keys, and the reason I bring that up is how do we focus on making the customer success manager the champion of that relationship so that they're tighter. So our job as customer marketers is to actually build and help strengthen that relationship through the way we show it off and attribute value to it. And then another thing that makes it really hard for CSMs to align is they have limited visibility, right? You often hear about things after the time. We have a poll for this one I'd love to ask, which is about—
Yeah, I'll spin that up.
Yeah. How
By the way,
often—
yeah, no,
I'll just ask it first. So or you can ask
okay.
it. I wrote it to you. You can ask it.
Well, I'll just say so far, Ari, shocker, nobody has time. In fact, very limited. Maybe one person has time to spin up a customer marketing program or has time for that. So no surprise there.
No surprise there. There's limited visibility into the customer marketing programs. You hear about them after the fact, right? You don't know what's going on in the time that they're going on. So how do you interact with your customer marketing team right now? Or help with the customer marketing needs? Is it only when they need something from you? Like, hey, I need a customer for a case study, or I need a customer for a reference call. Is it that you collaborate with them regularly? Do you talk with them, work on programs together? I hear about their programs through the grapevine, through Slack, through all hands company meeting where they talk about the programs they're rolling out, but they didn't actually work on them with you. They're just letting you know what they're going to be doing, or you don't interact, right? And the fun one at the end is, what is a customer? Do we have one? I didn't know we had one. So as we go through that, I will talk about, this end thing, which is I fundamentally believe that to be a coach, you have to have the strongest relationship with your team, right? To be that coach who cares about your customers, you have to have that ability to connect with them, get them on a call when you need them on a call. That relationship, you should be the ultimate gatekeepers because you're responsible for their success. Of course, they partake in that success, but you are there to help guide them to that value, right? And it's not just getting the value, it's realizing the value, right? The coach has to have their teammates believe in winning too, right? They have to see it, not just have it, they have to believe it, right? So that it can become continuous and that trust is there. How are we doing with the poll questions? I'm going to move on.
Yeah, let's publish this real quick. Here are our results. Thankfully, we don't have folks that say we don't interact, but we do have about 20% who are not sure they have folks managing any customer advocacy or marketing programs.
This is great. And I love seeing that at least a third, collaborate regularly. That's amazing. You're ahead of the game. So that's wonderful to hear. And your customer marketing advocacy team must be doing something right if you want to collaborate with them regularly. Okay, so generally, when we look at a marketing funnel, this was the old school way of looking at a marketing funnel, right? Which is, it used to be just this top half. And then we got into the subscription economy and this bottom half grew. Top half's right. You bring everyone in, awareness at the top, getting onto it. They go through their consideration, their evaluation, they eventually become a customer. But now in the subscription economy, it's not just about becoming a customer, right? They've got to get value from you, expand with you, upsell with you. And then eventually at the end of all of this, what comes out of the bottom of this is an advocate. Once they've gone through all of this, and that isn't real. That's a linear way of thinking about it. Humans are much more holistic in our approach. You can have an advocate day one because they went through an incredible sales cycle where they felt fully supported. They were given all the resources. You help build a business case for them, get internal adoption, and they're coming in swinging. They're so excited to start up the relationship with you. They're already an advocate. You could ask them. I've literally asked customers before day one, so they weren't even customers yet. They were prospects still. Hey, would you leave a review on Salesforce App Exchange for us about what the sales process was like? Did you feel supported? Right? Because on Salesforce App Exchange, you can leave whatever you want. So it's like, I've been able to find advocates, and even if they're not going to advocate externally, you can get them to do some advocacy internally. And you can at least put them on the path at the very beginning to become wonderful advocates, right? So by the time they're getting through all this value, their voice is really matured with you. And so we're going to talk about that and how does advocacy create? So advocacy is much more holistic, as I said. If you have a product that does what it says it's going to do, that is the foundation of everything, a product or service. You could be a service-based company. So as that customer comes in, the idea is you want them to grow with you, right? So you're going to sprinkle on your assets. What are your assets? So those can be your training materials, your learning materials, your knowledge base, right? Visual assets, case decks, things that you can share with them, webinars you bring them to, and then your services. Customer success can be a service, right? Your professional services team, right? That's the sunlight that sprinkles down. And as they grow, plants transpire, they sweat, right? They give off moisture. Well, most of us, kind of as they do that, we kind of have like a desert where we have one customer way over there that likes to advocate for us. and another cactus way over there and another cactus way over there. And they're spread out and you know who they are, but that you have to go find them each time. And there's not a lot. What the idea is like they have at Salesforce, which is you create a rainforest where there's so many of them, so packed in, they're all sweating together that they create their own ecosystem that rains down and provides the nutrients for them to grow. What does that look like the ideal state? Well, you have something called, for Salesforce, Midwest Dreaming. That is a customer-led event, thousands of people that they run out in the Midwest for Salesforce. Salesforce does not run this. They do not organize it. It is completely run by their community members. Salesforce gives them money to run it. They pay, they pay and supply to make it fun, but they don't organize it. It's completely run by their customers, right? And their advocates, which is amazing. That's the dream state. Can we all be there? No, but can we aim to getting there? Absolutely. And so the idea here is to understand once that rainwater comes down, you want to collect them. You want to harvest that water. And so we do as companies, right? And even if it's a cactus and you're not getting that much, you do. You keep it in an Excel sheet somewhere, maybe. You keep it in Slack messages to each other, maybe. But every time you need something, the reason we use this well analogy is what you do is you drop the bucket in. You say, customer marketer or your product marketing team, or someone says, hey, we need a customer for X, a case study, let's say. So what do? You drop the bucket down in, you say, hey, we're going to go find a customer that meets this certain criteria and they're a happy customer and you can take it. And it's a very manual process. It's one-off. You have to keep doing that ad hoc each single time that you need something from a customer. That actually isn't the biggest problem here. The biggest problem is your executives look down into this well from the top. And sometimes you might even look down into this well from the top and you go, there's water in the well. I don't understand. Why is it so hard to get a customer on a call? Why is it so hard to get a customer on a reference call this week? Why is it going to take 2 weeks to get them on a call? We have so many, look at this well, there's water in there. Problem with these kind of old school wells is when you look in, you see water, you don't know how deep the well is. You don't know how fast you're pulling the water out. Are you pulling it out faster than you're putting it in? Right. And when you look at all of the asks that we talked about earlier, there are a lot of asks you're putting in front of your customers. You're asking them to do not just video testimonials and network requests and analyst calls, right? You're getting them on webinars and referrals and case studies and customer, competitive analysis calls. There's so many asks. And what happens is you get advocacy fatigue because a lot of us don't have formalized programs. And so we're dipping one at a time. So once you find a customer who's willing to talk, well, what do? We go back to that same customer again and again and again, right? And we fatigue them. But what happens when we fatigue them? They start to turn off. And they don't just stop answering emails for requests like this. They start answering the important emails that you need to have them answering, right? They can go dark on you. And so what happens there? Well, customer success managers want to protect their accounts from this because their job is to get them to respond and to get them to engage. So if you're fatiguing them, they're going to become more protective of their accounts, right? It makes total sense. I don't want you jumping in because you are disturbing my flow with me and my customers. And my business is being driven by this. So my KPIs are on their engagement and how successful I can make them. And you're hurting that. So I'm going to block you from this, which makes things take even longer. But not only is there advocacy fatigue, well, we have internal fatigue because most of the time, how are these requests coming in, right? These ad hoc requests are coming in from Slack from all over the place. Product marketing is asking you this. The product team wants more customers on a beta testing program, right? You have all of these asks coming in and nobody's talking to each other. It's all going through you. You're trying to juggle it all while trying to do your job. So it's super stressful. So you're becoming even more resistant. So now not only your customers, but you're like, this is too much and this isn't my job, right? And so what happens? It takes longer and longer for you to respond or to open up the gates to those customers, only rightfully so, because of the way that this is snowballing. And so what ends up happening is people start to go around you, which makes it even worse, right? And so this is where people start to drop their hoses into the well and siphon that water out, right? The product team, they've worked with the customer before. The sales, AEs, this is the perfect example, that back pocket reference, right? They sold the customer. They haven't talked to them in 6-8 months, but they know them. They worked with them for 6 months in the sales process. So now they've got a reference request from another prospect. They're going to reach straight out instead of going through you, right? See, I can see that people are relating to this because I know I've been there. I've grown through this and I understand the frustration, the pain, the anxiety, all of it. It's real. This is not, and the best part about what we're talking about here is I'm gonna poke at the pain for a little bit, but I'm gonna let you know it's okay. This is not malicious. No one's doing anything wrong here. Everyone is trying to survive. And once we put those empathy caps on, just like we do with our customers, we do it internally, we start to open up, we breathe a little easier, and we start to work in ways that make this a lot more fluid. And we'll get into that. All right. So as they start to drop in those hoses, what else is happening? We're starting to pull that water out faster than we can fill it. We are literally tapping our entire network of advocates and we're blowing through them. Right. We're even putting, has anyone had an AE put a customer on a reference call before they're even in the evaluation phase? It's like the beginning. They might even not even finished all their demos and they're trying to put them on a call. And you're like, why are you burning my customer's time for that? And the next thing is you're letting in unknown sources into that well. I had an AE reach out to a customer who he had used on 3 separate calls, blew it out of the park every time. So you're like, oh, this is my go-to. Hadn't talked to the customer in probably 3 months. Called the customer, said, hey, I would love to get you on this call. It's with a major company. I won't say who they are. They rhyme with Microsoft. And I want to get you on that call. And would you do that for me? Customer was like, of course I'll do that for you. What the AE didn't know was that week, that customer had gone through a CS100 ticket, shut down on, I can't remember, but it was something around like SSO and authentication. And that was one of Microsoft's biggest fears, all right, was that. And so what happened was on that call, it came up and the customer wasn't going to lie about it. And so brought it up, said, we're working through it, it's not going to churn us. But that caused the due diligence portion of the procurement phase to extend another 3 months in that sale. Because what we did was the AE didn't know to go through, check the health scores, see what the SAD tickets were. And this was all the reasoning, starting to build a case right now, right? For why do we follow the formal processes and use customer marketing to be here? And customer marketing, when done right, is really the shield to customer success, right? It's there to filter all of this noise out, do most of the work ahead of time, and then just support you in making the final calls. Can we use this customer? All right. So why is this a problem, right? And how does this happen? One, we have a limited pool, right? In that well, it's a limited pool. When it's a limited pool like this, we have high effort when we're trying to reach out because everything is ad hoc and manual. The reason for that, and it's high effort, and the reason we have a limited pool is everything is manual because we have low visibility into who our customers are, where they are, who's touching them and when. And it's because we don't have a digital engagement strategy. So what does the opposite of this look like? Well, modern day irrigation system is what it looks like, right? Where you move that well above ground into a water tank so everybody can see which customers are doing what. You're creating programs that attract and capture more water coming in, and you're measuring how fast you're filling the well back up. And then as you're taking that water out, you're not just spraying it all like it's equal, because there's nothing worse spending 6 months getting the approvals to get a case study out the door because it's a major brand who doesn't do case studies and they're finally doing one with you and they're has to go through corporate comms and legal and all of this to get the approval. And you finally get it and it goes and lives in a content graveyard. Nobody uses it. It's awful. So how do we make sure that content is being used appropriately, right? So you have content that's made for wide spray at the top of the funnel, and then you get into those very singular drip campaigns as they move down the funnel, right? As you're trying to, how do you use that same content to help your customers adopt more and engage more? Can you use it in your actual education and training materials? Can you use customers' voice as for new customers that are coming on to help them become more successful customers with you? And so as you break this down, what those different functions are, as you get into larger, don't worry if you're not here. This is just kind of like pie in the sky, what you aim to as you start to build out the function. You have 3 core components to customer marketing and advocacy. Core advocacy is really focused here. How do we get more customers in, right, into our programs, raise their hands to be excited? What are those things we do? Lifecycle marketing is on adoption and engagement, right? So how do we help them through onboarding? How do we, if we think about the prospect who's engaging with our brand, there's all this wonderful marketing material, right? We support our sales teams incredibly. They have decks and websites and landing pages and webinars, all of this beautiful stuff that the marketing team creates for them. But then they become a customer, and what happens? CSMs have to go fight and and cannibalize decks from different places to make their own decks. And you're not customer, you're marketers. That isn't your job, but you're having to put the marketing hat on and create these decks that aren't always in brand alignment, but you're like, I just need to get the point across. So lifecycle marketing is really your marketing arm to help you in that customer experience and post-sale journey, right? With that. And then expansion, right? Expansion marketing is really focused on how do we sell to our current install base, right? How do we make sure, and then for prospects, how do we make sure our demand teams have access to all of this content that we're creating, right? So that's what they're focused on. Those are the three core functions. Now, that's the first half. Second half, we're going to get into what are things you can do today, whether you do or don't have a customer marketing team. So these are tactical things that can help you provide. The first one's called surprise and delight. I'm going to get into this. You can do this without a dedicated team. If you're just customer success teams out there, you can do this on your own. You do not need a customer marketing team. If you have one, this is a great way to bridge the relationship, and I'll get into that. Champion spotlights. It's something that I created back in 2015 as a way to battle case studies, because I was like, case studies, I'll get into that in a second. Then constant communications, right? When you have a marketing resource and dedicated, how do we do that? And then shared KPIs. All right, so let's jump in to surprise and delight. It's my favorite thing. We could ask a poll, just say yes or no in the chat. Do you have anything like a Sendoso or an ability to send customer gifts on certain like special occasions, like someone gets married, or maybe there's a death in the family, or they have a baby, or their favorite sports team wins, right? Do you have the ability to do that? And if you do, right, it costs money. Well, here's a great way that we have figured out that you can find these special occasions to be able to do that requires no money. Now, you can still send the gifts, but something that we've learned that really helps bridge the gap between just being a customer and really feeling like there's a relationship forming are these surprise and delights where you record a video, and it can be done so simply. There's free software out there. Like if you go to vouchfor.com, VOUCHFOR.com, you can create an account for free, and its ability to create prompts and video messages. So how many of you struggle getting executives onto an EBR, right? Or even getting them to respond to a single email, right? It can be really hard trying to get executives on. And when you do get them on, they last for 5 to 10 minutes and you lose their attention. They come up with some reason why they have to go and they jump off the call. It's because we're asking of them. We're not giving value. We're asking of them to do something for us. And what are we going to do? It's like a case study. We're going to talk about all the wonderful things we're doing to help their company, right? We're going to position it that way, right? And so we're going to show off how many. Think about the executive who has to get, how many EBRs are they getting asked to get onto? Like in reality, how many companies are trying to say what a great job they're doing for them as a customer, right? And so surprise and delight is a different way to bridge that relationship. So now let's say it's a wedding. Let's say it's a new baby. Let's say it's a promotion. This is a perfect one. Customer gets a promotion. Well, you as the CSM, right, can record a video saying, oh, we're so proud of you. You make it real by recording a video, not just writing in an email. So proud of you and the work that you've done. Obviously, your exemplary work is blah, blah, blah. You can ask your account managers or other people that might have relationships with them at your own company. Well, now you can reach out secretly, right? And you write secret in the email, in the subject line to the executive and say, hey, I know you might have already congratulated them. You were a part of their promotion. You were a part of this award they won. You might have already said, congratulations on their wedding, but we're putting this nice little package together. Would you mind spending less than a minute to just say congratulations and a few kind words? And you send the video prompt to them and they just click record and they can record it as many times as they want. Now you put together a little sizzle reel. And I mean, it literally takes 2 minutes of time. And you send this package to that customer. Well, you've done a couple of things there. One, that customer feels like you've really put some effort into something and care about them and are thinking about them, right? And do you remember, I think there's a saying, it's people won't always remember what you say, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. This is one of those magic moments that you can create. Now, the second thing you just did is you bridged a relationship with their boss without asking something to show yourself off. You're doing actually something for them because you're helping them be a better boss to their employees. You're helping them be a part of this special surprise and delight. You're making them part of the champion of the story, right? And so you're helping build a rapport with that boss in a way that's much different for getting them engaged. And you can then extend that into when you do your actual award ceremonies. We're doing our awards right now. I have friends and family that are leaving video messages. Literally, daughter of one of our program manager of the year. I have her daughter and her husband leaving a message. I have her 3 different bosses leaving a message, right? I have friends. So we're making something that's so amazing, and everybody wins out of this. There's no loss. So surprise and delight is incredible. And I'm going to give you a little taste of kind of how it looks, but you know, I'm not going to play all of this. I'm just going to give you a taste. Like, it just comes off so fun. You're up. Not sure what happened. Can you all hear this? Just someone give me a yes.
Hi, Caroline. Hope you're having a great day so far. Just wanted to say a big congratulations on behalf of Christina and myself on your recent promotion.
Hey, Bev. I hope your week is going well. I wanted to send over a note to say congratulations on the promotion. The whole team was just thrilled to see that you have been recognized for all of your hard work.
Hey, Kenzie, it's Jacqueline. Just wanted to drop you a quick line just to say thank you so much for being such an amazing.
All right. So you get the point. It's really fun. It's sweet. It's like a no-brainer kind of thing because it costs no money. It takes very little resources and time out of your day, but the reach and the effect of it is huge. Now, this is where if you have vouchfor.com here, I'll just type it in here. They're my
Ari,
favorite.
while you do that, I love this idea. One item came to mind in today's economy. I'm sure many customer success folks on the call are working with teams, and their advocate is unfortunately part of a layoff where they switch companies. Have you ever used a video like that to maybe reach out to a new champion to introduce the team? You know, of somebody you're trying to win over, make sure that account stabilizes. Would you recommend that use case?
No, but I love that idea. I absolutely love that idea. To me, you know, when we live in this digital world, we're all separated. A lot of us work from home. Video is so powerful, right? Getting to see someone's face, getting to know there's a human being that we're working with on the other side really makes a huge mark. And if you do have a customer marketing team, this is a great way for them to organize this. So I'll tell you how we do it at our company. We actually use our own software. So basically, the request comes in via we have an advocacy portal, and someone requests it. So a CSM comes in, they request that we do a surprise and delight. They just fill out, this is the customer, here's their account, it attaches to their account, and they record right there. They record their video personally. And they say, this is who they'd like other people to be involved. Can we get it? And then it's our job. We take that and we go and we reach out to the bosses and we compile the little video. And then we send it saying, hey, so I could say, hey, Christina sends her love and well wishes. She wanted you to get that. And then they lead off this whole thing. So the CSM, the customer marketer, is now making them the hero of the story, acting as a third party to it, right? So it really puts them all in this place of like, oh my God, they're doing such a wonderful thing for me. You don't need a customer marketer, but it is a great way to bridge that relationship. And this is how they can champion the CSMs, right? To really show off the value of the CSMs. All right, now let's get into champion spotlights. All right, say yes in here if your company does case studies. Just give me a couple of yeses if your company does case studies. And then I'm gonna tell you exactly, here's another thing you'll be able to relate to really well. All right, so here's a case study. And I can tell everyone, this is our case studies. You pick your biggest brand names that you have as customers that will approve to actually let you use their logo. Sometimes we'll even anonymize it because we want to use the big brand. Or you'll use your customer that has the best results, the best KPIs, right? They have the best benchmarks, they've beaten all the benchmarks, et cetera. Now, this is how you're going to tell your case study. Every single time it's the same way. Here's company X. Here's what they do. Here's all the problems they were struggling with. Here's what they were trying to solve for. Here comes our product. Look at the results. And who's the hero of that story? Your company, right? Your company is the hero of that study, and you're the champion. Now, the reason that those have marginal benefit in actually closing deals is when let's say I want to improve and I want to get a role and I want to get a raise and I'm trying to do better at my job, I'm not going to go look at Salesforce, the brand. I'm going to go look at someone who does my job at Salesforce and see what are they doing, that person, to be successful, right? I model myself after a human being, not after a brand. A brand can't save the day, right? The real champion of the story is the customer who stuck their neck out on the line to get budget to buy your product or service, right? To get the internal adoption and go through the change management, to go through the procurement and security and compliance processes. They're the ones who stuck their neck out to build the programs for adoption once they do buy your product, right? So you want to tell the story that allows them to be the hero of the story. And the reason is, when, let's say Star Wars, when you go into Star Wars, I use this analogy a lot because it's so simple. And I come out of Star Wars and I'm a kid. I don't say, I want to be the Millennium Falcon. I want to be a lightsaber. I want to be a blaster. I come out and I say, I want to be Han Solo. I want to be Luke. I want to be Leia, right? We identify with the human beings. Now, if I say I want to be Han Solo, everybody knows Han Solo flies the Millennium Falcon. If you watch Star Wars, I might be classifying myself a little bit here. But the point is you look at the human first, and then you see what are they using to be successful. So you come along, right? You ride their coattails. You come along for the fun, but you are not the champion of the story. And so I created these champion spotlights that show the individuals off. What are they and their teams doing to be successful? And we're just a part of that story. So we'll even link to things like webinars they do for other companies, as long as they're not competitive, awards they've won outside of us. So what are we doing is we're basically creating like a digital baseball card for our customers, right? And we can release these super simple. We create a survey and the customers fill them out themselves in their own words, right? Little fun fact. And so I won't get into the specifics of all the details of it here. You can look through this when he sends the follow-up. But we even created within our portal so you can nominate yourself so that others can nominate you. So now you're creating this goodness where your peers are nominating you through the work that they're seeing you do, right? And sample forms. And now you have something that we have the spotlight, which is shown off in the community. We have a public website. So now that customer you talk about, they leave, they might get fired, they might go. They're using these in their interviews for other jobs. They're using these to get promotions inside of their own jobs, right? To build a case for more budget. They're using these. I cannot tell you how valuable these have become. And when I compare these to case studies, they won on every single metric. Time on site, engagement, click-through rates, bounce rates, every single metric from a marketing perspective, right? And then from the non-marketing, the human side, you're doing something really valuable for them. And it's not that big of a lift, right? So that's something you can do. Now, on the next side, do you have new recent case studies that you use? Yeah. On the next side, right? Marketing support. This is if you do have a team. Constant communication. So often we want to say, well, I want to have my customer success team closed door. Otherwise, everyone's going to ask to be in on this meeting. And I just want to talk to my customer success team. Well, if you really want to build the rapport with your customer marketing team, they are an extension of you. They are the visible extension from a marketing perspective. Bring them in to those closed door meetings. The more they know about the way you talk to each other, the way you interact, the way you talk about your customers, the more equipped they're going to be able to handle the fine touch in the way that your relationship is being built with those customers, right? And the more you communicate, the more you're inside, you'll start to create ownership and collaboration on the programs they're making. Right. And so this will disseminate down to your different teammates as well. So if you're running a customer success team, this is a great way to build that rapport and create a bridge between that natural aversion that can happen sometimes when your CSMs are just inundated with too much to do. All right. And then if you're doing that, the next step, the final step in this, and Christy will talk about this a lot, which is shared KPIs, right? Start to co-own things together. So if you're responsible for retention, well, your customer marketing team better well be responsible for retention as well, right? Some of their adoption metrics, how they're supporting you, right? So anyways, that's shared KPIs. That's it. I think we're right about time to start asking any Q&A. Anyone have any questions about this? Does this open up any new ways of thinking about things? Anyone have any new ideas? Anything? Floor is open.
Yeah, feel free in the Q&A section, or even if you want to put anything in the chat, we can utilize Ari here while we have him. Ari, one comment I'll make is the strong theme about what you're saying here and I think should be the North Star for all of us, is make the customer the hero of the story, plain and simple, which has come through in all of your content. This isn't about you, your product. It's about making the customer the hero, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, look at your brand, your case studies. You're going to have their logo is going to be the biggest thing there, right? You're showing off like, we've got this company, we've got this company, because you're trying to show off like these are the big brands we have, right? And you're losing the thing that's right in front of all our face, which is you have these amazing human beings, right, at these big companies. So when we do these champion spotlights, and this is just a rough breakdown, this isn't what it finally looks like, but it's literally like their face is big, their name is the biggest thing, it's calling attention. And guess what, you're creating some FOMO there. Other customers are going to go, wow, how do I get that? I want to be recognized like that. You have customer success managers. So we do a whole thing where we now have added in like video. So this is really, really old. This was my V1 back in like 2015 or 16. It's morphed since then. So we have a video section in it. We'll even get their bosses to leave a little section about how incredible this person is, right? So once you create that, we also do a section where it's like any shout outs, like talk about what your relationship with your CSM is like. So now the CSM is coming along for the ride. And I even know a company now that does this for their CSMs. So they have a landing page that talks about what their customer success team does. And here are the different customer success managers and the accounts that they run. And here's what they specialize in, right? And so you can really take this ad infinitum. One
thing I will ask here, these days, marketing departments, CSMs are very much being pressured to, tell us a story, but include a number headline: improved retention by 90%, improved pipeline by 34%. Often teams aren't benchmarking at the beginning of their service and then comparing midstream the actual commercial outcomes. One, do you find that such a numbers heavy approach to these case studies can be a turnoff? And if not, what do you recommend for a CS team who's trying to get those numbers across in the case study to show the sales team would love this in their side of the house?
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother, like that is a webinar in itself, right? But and you're absolutely right. So a big thing that we talk about is value realization. You can deliver value all day long. This company could be getting a ton of value out of your product or service, but if they don't recognize that they're getting that value, are they actually getting value? Are they going to renew? So what is value realization? That is part of the customer success manager's job. Customer success manager's job is to allow the customer to coach them in a way that they realize the value. That's why we do the EBRs. You have to be tracking the metrics there. The more familiar that customer is, then when a customer marketer comes in to ask these questions, they're not digging for gold, right? It's already at the surface. They're not having to like ask the 15 questions of why to try and get them, or have the worst is when a customer gets on and they don't know. Well, now you're making them feel not like the subject matter expert. It's like one of the things with customer reference calls. I make sure the AE always asks the prospect, what are you going to ask the customer on the call? Well, we just want to talk to them about some things. No, AE, that's not good enough, because I'm not going to allow my customer to get on that call and feel like they're not an expert. Okay. I don't want them to feel like they don't know how to answer a question because they're not prepared. So you're going to go back to the prospect and you're going to ask them specifically, what do they want to talk about? Because if they push back, all you say is, hey, this is the exact, if you become a customer, we're going to treat you the same way and we're going to give you the same respect, right? We're not going to use you all the time. We're going to use you when it's appropriate. And these reference calls are going to be part of your growth ability to grow your network. So we're going to connect you with other people who are like-minded like you to help grow your professional network and your sphere of influence. Awesome. Yeah, those numbers are a big deal, but you cannot ask the customer marketer to find stuff that you haven't yourself been able to bring to the surface.
Yeah, there's a change there that needs to happen first. One from the audience: how would you suggest approaching a case study that not just benefits my company, i.e. the vendor, but would benefit the customer's company as well? So they can't say no. How are you incentivizing folks? What would you recommend in approaching a customer for these types of things?
Yeah, so I'm assuming most people on this call have heard of like, what's the acronym? What's in it for them, right? we, as marketers especially, have become very good at saying what's in it for them, but it's really what's in it for us, right? Oh, this is going to help your brand get more exposure. And you're like, yeah, but we're a 250 person company. You're a 50,000 person company. We're obviously not helping your brand get exposure from our stuff, right? We're not helping you be more available for analysts. Like, you've got that all covered in spades. The real approach, and I'm telling you, the real way is when you develop the relationships with your customers so they understand what's inherently in it for them personally, right? Now, I dealt with in my first career, in fact, at this company, at MindTouch, we dealt with technical document writers. Most of the people on my calls were introverts. How do you get an introvert? And at big companies like Oracle, they don't want to stick their hand up and put a spotlight on. Put your head up and you get shot, right? They want to keep their head low. As long as they meet their quotas, they keep their head low, they get their budget, they're good. They don't need to make a stink. They don't want to cause waves. And they're introverted. They don't want to talk out loud and be in front of the spotlight. That's not their way. But what we all share in common is we all want to feel valued. Every one of us. Otherwise, why are we doing our jobs, right? Why are we showing up every day if we don't want to feel valued? And so some of us just need to understand, in our head, we paint a picture of what this looks like. Like, I don't want to go out and help you sell. But if you start by, hey, let's just get you congratulated by your boss first. And it starts there. And they're like, oh, that felt good. And then it's another thing, another micro moment. We're just going to celebrate you internally. It's not even external. We haven't even asked you to do something yet. We're just giving you value to your own personal brand development network, whatever it is. We're going to connect you with someone. Those little micro moments, well, now they start to inherently capture what that value delivery feels like. And they're going to start to engage more with it. And so you're psychologically priming them to be more open and less adverse to blocking these types of experiences. I don't know. Did I answer that question?
I think you did. That's fantastic. I know we are basically at time. That was jam packed.
Do people like this topic? Was this something different and something new for a lot of you? Like, what did you think? I like it, and be real. It's okay. You can break me down. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. I know probably people are clicking off now. It's probably the end of the hour. Oh, still got some people.
Yeah, getting some really good feedback here. What we will do is, we'll share this recording and also the slides. Love learning more about advocacy, customer journey, great information. Yeah, we're getting some great feedback here. So thank you, Ari. This is helpful. I think the takeaway I will have is you don't have to have a customer marketing department today to start doing a lot of this stuff today, which is super helpful.
Such a great point. You've had some really strong ones today, Dave. Appreciate the backup. Really good point, is you do not need a customer marketing team to start some of these micro magic moments.
Well, with that, this is great. We appreciate it again, Ari. To the audience, look forward to staying in touch. We'll get this content over to you as soon as possible. For Client Success, I'm Dave. And again, thanks, Ari, for such wonderful content here today. Super valuable. And we'll look forward to having the rest of you on the rest of the series. Thanks all.
Bye.